What is one small habit that can prevent bigger car problems later?
Oil changes. I think that's probably what hurts more cars than anything else.
Welcome to Fireside Talks, where we help bring you from survival to stability.
Through skills, support, and the hope of Jesus Christ.
Welcome back to our Home Hacks Month. Last week we talked about some cooking hacks, and this week we are going to go over some car hacks.
Right.
So let's start off with, what is your I had no idea how to adult car moment?
So that's tough because...
I feel like you always answer that way.
Well, I do. But I grew up in the garage with my dad working on cars. Mm-hmm. So my dad tells this story about one of my brothers trying to jack up their car, and I'm 6 or 7 years old. I'm laying under the car, and I'm like, no, don't put the jack there. You're going to hurt the car.
Okay.
So I don't know that I've had that real like, oh man, I don't know what I'm doing moment, because it was something we just did in our house.
Okay, fair. Well, have you ever been stranded or had a car issue that you were totally unprepared for?
I mean, I have been stranded a couple times, and not like bad, but like I'm a couple miles from home or whatever. Or that time when the fuel pump went out in our expedition. Like, yep, a couple miles from home. I think I know what's wrong. There's just nothing I can do about it. But I think of like, I was in high school and I had this old beater, and I know you don't know what control arms are, and that's okay. But basically I turned a corner, and instead of my tires doing that, they went like this.
Oh.
My front tires. But even then, like, I limped it back to the school parking lot. We jacked it up, pulled the tire off, took a 3-pound sledgehammer and beat that ball joint back up on as good as we could, wrapped it in baling twine and electrical tape, and I drove it home.
Oh.
So, like, I've been stranded when there's like, there's nothing I can do about this. But then I've had a couple instances where I was like, maybe not the best idea in the world, but I got it to work.
Okay. I don't think I need to ask if you know how to change a tire then.
No.
Okay. That's definitely something you can do. I personally know how to change a tire, but I don't think I could on my own. So I'd be calling him. So what is something about cars you think people pretend to understand but don't really know?
I really think it has a lot to do with fuel. Because there's very, very, very few cars on the market that need premium fuel. So why pay the extra? I do think it's good to run it through there every once in a while. But when I say once in a while, I mean do a tank of premium once or twice a year. There's some sport cars and some supercars that need premium fuel. But, you know, your 07 Chevy Malibu does not need premium fuel. And I think the other thing that people think a lot, they understand about cars is, I'm going to do this, I'm going to change that, I'm going to modify this. When realistically, the engineers at whatever manufacturer it is, they spent a lot of time and money figuring out this car. Hundreds of millions of dollars to design a car. They probably did a pretty good job. Leave them alone.
Yeah, but sometimes they're not very smart.
No, there's instances where lots of times you're not real happy with engineers on the way they place things.
Yeah, like taking off like almost my entire engine in order to get to the battery to change it.
I mean, that's a bit excessive, but yes.
The whole top, you have to take off? Yeah. Anyway. What are 2 to 3 basics that every young adult should know before they get a car?
Before they get a car.
Know.
I think the 3 big things...
If they have a car.
The 3 big things with cars, obviously change a tire, change your oil, and long term, you're going to save a lot of money if you can change your own brakes.
Okay.
Because shops charge a lot of money for brakes, and they're incredibly easy.
So, tires,
oil,
brakes, oil.
Yep.
Okay. So why do you think people avoid knowing how to do those things?
They just don't think they can. People, we talk about it even with some of the guys at work all the time. Like, they're guys that are, I will say, somewhat mechanically inclined. But like, yeah, they're like, yeah, I can change a tire. I can put windshield washer fluid in it. I might be able to change the oil. Like, these are simple maintenance things that keep your car going.
Okay. And so that person who knows nothing, they're at zero knowledge, where do they start?
Tire.
Yeah, but how do they know that?
You know what?
How do you figure that out?
If you have a car, and granted, some used cars or older cars, you're not going to have the owner's manual anymore. That's fine. But I promise a quick Google search, and it's going to show you where to put a jack on probably just about every car that's out there.
Okay.
So let YouTube be your friend. You can learn a lot on YouTube from that type of stuff.
Okay.
Do you remember when we did the water pump on my truck? And I made a YouTube video about it?
Oh, yeah.
Because I couldn't find one to see what it was going to be like. Mm-hmm. So I made one. And I guess I truly don't know if anybody's ever watched it. I've never went back and looked.
Okay. So think of an emergency kit. We talked about you being stranded. So what should any car emergency kit look like, or what are those essentials?
Super basic tools.
Meaning?
Maybe a small standard and metric socket set. And so just, I'm thinking maybe no more than 15 or 20 pieces.
Okay.
Absolutely have a pair of channel locks and a pair of, or like a crescent wrench.
Okay.
Jumper cables. Mm-hmm. You're looking at me like I'm going way too deep.
I mean, let's think about people who know absolutely nothing about cars or tools. I know what a crescent wrench is, but I don't know why it's in my emergency kit.
Okay, let me back up then. When you're asking about an emergency kit, are we talking about something's wrong with the car, or I need this to be safe?
Yeah, safe.
Okay, that's completely different.
If something, if my car broke down, I have the essentials to. I mean, I don't have any car knowledge. I'm not going to fix my car. What do I think of me?
Sure. So
what do I need in my car?
Your cell phone. If we're thinking of that kind of stuff, you might say you're calling a tow truck. You might be stuck on the side of the road for a couple hours waiting for a tow truck. Mm-hmm. Especially in South Dakota, as rural as we are, it might be 4 or 5 hours before they get there.
Sure.
So granola bars, a couple bottles of water. I've seen stuff people talk about like having a candle or something. Not a big fan of an open flame in a car. But just some of that little stuff. Maybe some flares or something to signify, to alert other motorists. Mm-hmm. Whether it's the little cones or triangle things.
Sure. The flashlight was nice. That one time when my battery died and it was dark outside.
Yep. Flashlight or a headlamp, something like that. I would say those are probably the absolute most basics to keep in the car.
All right, what was that?
And then a jack and a tire iron.
Right, sure. Jack and tire iron and jumper cables.
Cables, a couple bottles of water, some granola bars, stuff like that.
Flashlight.
Maybe a blanket if you're in a place where it gets cold.
Sure. Or at least during the winter time.
Right.
Okay. What is one small habit that can prevent bigger car problems later?
Oil changes. I think that's probably what hurts more cars than anything else. Is people don't change the oil as often as they're supposed to.
Why?
Why don't they?
Why does that matter?
It just keeps the internals of the motor clean.
And if you don't keep the internals of the motor clean?
Then you're going to start to have a lot of motor issues.
Okay.
Maybe, when I was on the ambulance, we did it every single time we went into work, every shift. But maybe once a week, just check the oil, make sure it has all of the things it needs. Check your fluids.
Okay.
would probably be another super simple, like it's gonna stop big problems later.
Okay. Maybe we'll have to do a video on how to check your fluids.
It's different on every car, but we can try.
Okay. And then, so what is a common mistake that people make that actually ends up hurting them?
Well, again, the oil change thing, but I think one of the things is not doing, like, if you're going to take it in to get it worked on, not having at least a little bit of an idea of what might be wrong.
Well, how am I supposed to know?
Google, YouTube. Because you don't want to go in with a car that has, say, something wrong in the rear end, and it might be, say, it's an expensive fix, like it's $1,500, but now they're trying to sell you a $7,000 transmission when you never needed one. Maybe just having a little bit of an idea what's going on with it.
Okay. Can you share a time when being prepared or unprepared really mattered?
Not with cars. I really can't. Not with cars. I can think of other instances. A lot of the stuff that I've run into though is like my own stupid fault. Like I went to do something and I didn't have what I needed. You
Sure.
know, and
Yeah.
it wasn't necessarily like a big catastrophe where everything was wrong, but it just wasted a lot more of my time than it should have.
I mean, we went camping and took out my emergency bag
Mm-hmm.
because I needed room to pack stuff. And then the truck died. And so then I didn't have my jumper cables.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm struggling to think of a time, but
Okay. Okay. What is a situation where a small skill could have saved the day?
just understanding how to read a tire gauge, on how to get air pressure.
Sure.
Because often if you, and another thing is just observation. Like, it was a few weeks ago, and I don't remember why, but I had a flat tire on my truck.
Mm.
If I wouldn't have just looked at my truck walking out, what if I would have drove on it and now I ruined the rim and the tire, and now we're looking at several hundreds of dollars to fix it instead of just air it up and take it to a shop to plug a leak.
Yeah, I think that's another thing people don't think about. Like, well, my tire's just a little bit low. Like that affects a lot of things from driving on your rim to changing the balance that's putting pressure on the rest of your car.
And if you have an all-wheel drive car, tires being different can really hurt things. If the tire's low, it's hurting your fuel economy, like all of those things.
Have you ever learned something the hard way when it comes to cars?
Yes. So, and it's not something that I would expect a lot of people to do, but we were working on the motor of my very first car, and my dad was at work, and I start working on it, and he comes home to all these parts all over the garage, and he's like, "Did you label this?"
Mm.
Nope. He's like, "If you're unplugging electrical things, get a piece of tape and write 1 on the part that you're on both sides, like 1 1. Now I know that those two plug back in together. 2 2, those plug in together. If I took parts out of the motor, like label them so we know what order they go back in, stuff like that."
Did you get it back together?
Yeah, I drove that car for a while.
Okay. All right. Proverbs 21:5 talks about diligence leading to success. What does diligence look like in everyday life when it comes to a car?
Again, I think the biggest chunk is observation,
Mm.
just paying attention. Um, if you drive your car enough, you should recognize that weird sound. Hey, that does. Turn off your radio once in a while and just listen to the car. It's trying to tell you things. Just listen to it. So I mean, I think observation, paying attention, like those are big things not just in everyday life, but especially with cars and car trouble and car maintenance.
Okay. And how does something simple like car maintenance reflect bigger in a spiritual principle?
Um, so I would say I enjoy working on cars, but um, leading up to it, I kind of dread it,
Mm,
right? And I'm not saying that we should dread Bible studies or, that's not what I'm saying, and don't hear that. But I think it's one of those things that, like, once I get started, it's fine. I just got to start. I wouldn't say that I even dread the idea of working on the car. It's just like, I just got to start. And I think that's a big thing with so much stuff in our life is we procrastinate and put it off and push it to the side. And if we just start doing it, it's not that bad.
okay. And you're saying that relates, that's the same for like spiritually,
Yep,
just
yep.
open the
Like,
Bible.
open it. Well, I don't know where to start reading. Just pick a book in the Bible and just start reading it.
Okay. What do you think we tend to ignore? Sorry. Why do you think we tend to ignore small responsibilities until they become big problems?
I think if we're leaning into cars and car maintenance,
I think we're trying to meld.
yeah.
Okay.
But if we're leaning into car and car maintenance, I think a lot of it is money. Like, I need to, if I fix my brakes when I hear a squeak, then I don't have to change the rotors too. And it ends up being a cheaper fix in the long run. If I wait, now I've ruined more parts and it's going to cost me more to fix. Um, and I think with everyday life, we do that too. Um, I think of individual we worked with for quite a while. The idea that if they would have just picked up a little bit, then it wouldn't have been an overwhelming mess later.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
So if we ignore the little thing, eventually it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and then it's overwhelming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How can being prepared be a form of stewardship?
It's just responsibly using the resources you've been given. That's the simple answer. Um, if we're prepared, and often if we prepare for the little things, the big things won't seem as bad.
Right. Yeah. Okay. What's the danger of living in, I'll deal with that later mode?
I think everything I just said, right? Um, because when we put that off, that little problem becomes a little bit bigger. And now we've added to it again, and it's a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger. And now it's just overwhelming, and I don't know where to start.
Right.
Where, how many times do we put stuff off that's only going to take 5 minutes?
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
it would have only taken me 5 minutes to deal with whatever this is. But now I've put it off, put it off, put it off, put it off. And maybe I have 20 of those things now that are only going to take 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now I've wasted a day.
Right.
When if I would have just done it 5 minutes at a time, I would have never even noticed it.
Right. I feel like that about putting my laundry. Okay. So, what are some areas in life that people should be more prepared but aren't?
Um, could be a really, really long list because you could say, we would fall into the category of if you do the Dave Ramsey type thing, we're not prepared financially. Like, we
Sure.
don't have 6 months of our expenses saved.
Sure.
Um, the from a car standpoint, just I own a handful of these simple tools that can get me a long ways.
Sure.
That's just a list that goes. I keep a little bit of extra food in the house, so that way if something happens and we can't leave, maybe there's horrible, and we're coming into spring, so let's just pretend that a tornado comes through, and maybe it doesn't damage the house, but trees are across the road at either end of the street and I can't get out,
Mm-hmm.
well, we'll be okay for a couple days.
Right.
We have a little bit of extra food in the house to get out.
Yeah.
Of course, in South Dakota, we worry about that in the winter.
Mm-hmm.
It snowed 30 inches overnight, and it's going to be a couple days before I can get out of here.
Yeah. So more of like be looking ahead to those little things.
Right.
Like, what if this happened?
Right.
Not letting the what if overwhelm you. Not becoming the prepper style person.
Right. Right.
But just being prepared, doing those little things.
Yeah. Just a little
Looking
bitty
ahead.
stuff. Yep. Because if we were, and we talked about it last week on the kitchen stuff. If we were one of those families that ate out every night, not being able to get out of our house for a couple days would be a big deal.
Right, right.
So, but if you have a little bit of extra food in the house or whatever the thing is, now that big deal's an inconvenience.
Yeah. And so, what is one simple life skill that has the biggest impact on your life?
I think leaning into the car thing is just not being afraid to try it. Like, I can figure this out.
Mm-hmm.
Like when we did that, I did all that work on your expedition. Like, the cheapest I could find somebody to do it was like $4,000, and I did it for $700.
Yeah.
Granted, I spent 30 hours in the garage working on that car, or whatever ridiculous amount of time it was.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I was doing, but I knew I had resources to find the answer, and I was willing to try.
Yeah. Okay. How can the young adults out there that Fireside is serving?
Yep.
How can those young adults build diligence without feeling overwhelmed?
I think, again, it's just not putting off the small stuff. Don't procrastinate. And I know I'm bad at procrastinating. I know I am. And I joke that I work better under pressure. But, just don't procrastinate. Just take care of the little things before it gets out of hand.
Okay. So now, as we're coming down to the end, let's ask a few rapid fire questions. Change a tire or parallel park in front of people?
Doesn't bother me. Neither one. I'm fine.
Neither one. People are watching you, investigating. Is he going to turn his tires the right way when he's going down that hill?
No.
Which way is he going to turn his wheel?
Don't care.
Is he putting those lug nuts on the right order?
Don't care.
You don't care?
No. And if I'm doing it wrong, then changing a tire wrong, then you should probably be offering to help.
It bothers me. I don't. I would rather parallel park than change a tire, but I know that if someone is watching me, they'll probably think, "Is that Jack in the right spot?"
Right.
Okay. Check engine light on. Ignore it for a week or panic immediately.
Neither. But with that being said, I think almost every auto parts store will come out and put the little code reader on your car for free and tell you what it is.
And that code reader tells you a general idea.
Of what's wrong with it.
Okay.
So, and I would say a lot of the time, the people at the auto parts store have somewhat of an idea what they're looking at. So they might be able to tell you, yeah, it's not really a big deal. Don't worry about it right now.
Okay.
Like if my check engine light came on tomorrow and I stopped at AutoZone and they read it for me and they said it's an O2 sensor, I know what that part does. It might hurt my gas mileage a little bit, but I don't need to drop my truck off at Ford today to get it fixed.
Okay. All right. So what would you do? Call for help or YouTube it and hope for the best?
YouTube it and hope for the best. I'm a guy. I don't need any help. I'm fine.
Okay. Josh's laughing in the other room. Okay. What is one basic life skill everyone should know but doesn't?
Oh, that's a tough one. That's a tough one because if nobody knows it, neither do I.
Okay, most people know. Most people don't know.
I think it's just super basic maintenance on everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like 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 the oil change, the brakes, the change in a tire. When's the last time you changed an air filter in our furnace?
That's not one basic skill.
That general maintenance is a basic skill.
Oh, okay, I suppose.
But like changing the air filter in the furnace, changing the batteries in my smoke
I
detector.
almost need like an owning a car or owning a house checklist.
They have these weird things in cars called owner's manuals. And right in there, it will give you the recommended maintenance by mileage.
Okay, but those are just suggestions.
No. Back to the engineer knew what he was talking about.
Okay.
I had to. So with
I'm gonna make him mad at me.
Yeah, with my pickup, I had to argue with one of the dealerships because I wanted the transmission fluid changed, and he's like, "No, nope, they don't recommend that till 100,000 miles." Yeah, that's great, but my truck's got 20,000 miles with an 8,000-pound camper behind it. Like, I'm making it work harder. I want it changed. Oh, they don't recommend that. Do it. Like, and our truck's getting old, and I'm hoping I'm only halfway done with it.
Okay.
So I'm doing these things so I can keep it longer.
Okay.
You're gonna make me mad.
All right. So as we close, if listeners take one thing away from this episode, what should it be?
I think more than anything, is don't be afraid to try it. If your car's already broke, you can't break it more. Well, I guess you can, but I mean, give it a shot. If you're unsure what to do, I bet there's someone in your life that has an idea.
Yeah, that's big. Especially if you're a member at a church, someone has some kind of car knowledge. Ask for help.
Right.
Don't be afraid to ask for help.
Yeah.
Ask for help. Okay. What's one small step they can take this week to be more prepared?
Go make sure in your car right now there's a jack and a tire iron. And if there's not, find one. You can probably even go to a junkyard and say, I have this kind of car and it doesn't have a jack. Do you have one? Go get a jack and a tire iron.
Or find it in your car, because a lot of times they hide them.
Yeah.
Way like in a cubby in the corner or underneath the back with the spare tire.
Like, yeah, in your car it's up under the storage area in the back. In my truck it's behind the back seat.
Yeah.
Like, where is it?
Yeah.
So go make sure this week you have a jack and a tire iron in your car.
Okay. How does being diligent today set you up for peace tomorrow?
Back to that being overwhelmed. I didn't allow things to snowball into something bigger than it needed to be. Mm-hmm. I took care of it in that moment.
Yeah.
I think that's the big one.
Okay. All right. Well, that's all we have for you today. You want to pray us out and then we'll give all the other information?
Sure. Okay. So, Father, we come to you asking that maybe when it comes to some of this stuff, we're just asking for a little more courage. Maybe we're asking that we have a little peace and don't feel overwhelmed. But there's so many of these little things and so many resources out there that we can learn from, and we just ask that you help us not to put off today what is going to be a bigger problem tomorrow. We love you, and it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Well, thank you for joining us on our Car Hacks Home Hack Month. Car Hacks Week, Home Hack Month.
Right.
Remember to look for our merch and all the other information on firesidecommunity.org. And please share this podcast, share about us, and so we can get the word out there. Thanks. Oh,
you know what else we need to mention? I don't know. Can you see the table in the video?
Yeah.
You can?
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if people notice it's different. Just a little bit of an update, like we're actually starting to pack up to sell our house so that way we can be far more intentional about finding property for Fireside. So that way we can actually get this thing started. And of course, we talk about the merch, and 100% of the proceeds from that goes straight into the mission. We don't make a dime off of it. Um, Us individually, the mission does. We do not. Um, but if you know somebody in the Sioux Falls area that has property, maybe your grandpa's retiring from farming. If you want to support us financially, just all kinds of different information on our website. Don't be afraid to reach out with questions.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us. Bye.